That one decision makes the entire performance look bad.
I know that the manager's not out on the pitch. Is it his responsibility to get these players to make those smarter decisions? Let's start with U.S. men's national team, because now under Pochettino, we have now witnessed our third loss in a row. So it begs the question, is Pochettino the right guy? Is it time to start worrying about Pochettino as the coach? And that's why this is our top topic.
Okay, let's get into it. So the U.S. men's national team they just played against Turkey. On was it Saturday or Friday? I don't know. I forgot.
At Hartford, locally.
Which I understand why they have to play games at Hartford sometimes, because they want the support and to be predominantly for the U.S. men's national team. But there's also a little bit of like, why are these games in Hartford? Why does it happen?
I don't know. It was pretty well attended though.
It was. I mean, it was rainy and stuff like that. But it's just like the experience there. I haven't been, but I've usually not heard really amazing things about
it's not the most modern of stadiums.
So
of stadii.
But yeah, that's
of all the things, by the way, Carter's laughing at Stadia. Of all the things we say on this show, that one invisible laugh, like an actual LOL.
So, but yeah, that's a topic for a different episode. But they lose 2-1, and it's a third loss in a row. Now you start wondering, like, given all the drama with the players available and Club World Cup and everything going on. Now it's like, well, he's calling in the players he wants to call in. Some of the players are getting their first opportunity. Obviously, it's a less experienced squad with when it comes to international minutes.
He also made the point of a quote from somewhere. I'm assuming it came from a press conference. I don't know for sure, but a quote attributed to him a few weeks ago, maybe even a week ago, was, "We're finding great quality in all leagues, not just the ones in Europe, essentially, not just from the players that are playing in Europe." And I'm paraphrasing there because I don't remember exactly, but essentially saying, hey, don't worry about it. Even though there's a lot of MLS players here, I'm finding just as good a quality in some of these MLS players, which was a big boon for MLS as a league and a lot of the fans, which is why I saw the quote mentioned a couple of times. But you're setting the precedent that, like, all right, then we should see no drop in quality against competition. That's not exactly what we saw against Turkey.
Yeah.
There were moments where I think the U.S. settled into the game in the second half. There was one great moment of brilliance in the beginning of the match.
30 seconds of the match.
Where Jack McGlynn was like, watch what I can do. And then he hits the Jalen Brunson celebration, which is great. Because again, everyone remember, he is from Queens. People don't know that because he played for the Philadelphia Union. Yeah. But Middle Village, of all places, where Chris Copo's from.
Okay, shout out to Jack McGlynn and Chris Copo.
Yeah, two people from Middle Village. That's it.
Two you would never think to be heard in the same sentence.
I hope they're never in the same room. Because that'd be rough
Chris
for Jack
was
McGlynn.
A comedian in New York.
Just picture if a chicken cutlet came to life. Just a fried Italian chicken cutlet.
With
that's
a
this
thick
guy.
Old booty.
Yeah. Kid's great joke about how he can never go to jail. But the long story short, outside of that, and outside of long stretches, especially in the first half, and frankly, even in the second half, even though after they settled, this was not of the quality of the players that we would have expected to see, but maybe that are playing in European teams.
Yeah.
But still, with the players that we have, it's good enough to be able to challenge against a team like Turkey.
Yeah, you would. I mean, most of the time, I never underestimate any European opponent. I'm
sure.
I'm assuming, they grew up with the game. They were like fetuses and so on and so forth. So you expect them to do well, and they did look comfortable. And we try to give ourselves, especially having the game in Hartford, try to give ourselves every advantage that we have to make it at least as difficult as possible on the other team. And really the issue, the decision by Johnny Cardoso to outside the boot, that clear that ball and try to make a pass with Arda Güler is right in front of him. And it's just, it all boils down to decision making. When it comes to like the quality is there. We know, even whether they're European or MLS, it's like it's there. And you see, when we use the word quality, we're also talking about the quality of their decision making. Johnny Cardoso does not need to do that. He doesn't need to do the outside the boot thing. But what he definitely does not need to do is he receives the ball from Matt Freese, takes a touch, the ball he sets in front. Then he
sees the press starting.
He takes another touch And that right there is like, you did not need that other touch. And you took the other touch because you saw that there was a defender maybe blocking your way, like
an attacker from Turkey, you mean?
Yeah, like the defender being a Turkish attacker. He's in the way. So he's like, let me take one more touch because I know I'm gonna do the outside the boot. Before he took the first touch, he's like, I'm gonna do the outside the boot to get it to the fullback probably.
Let me get into a space so I can do the thing I want to do.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, no, don't do the thing you want. Yeah. You don't need to do that right there.
Yeah. You don't have to hit that button on the controller right now.
And it's like, look, 99 times out of 100, that probably does not go in, right? It's just a deflection and whatever.
But the one time it does go in makes everyone look really silly.
Exactly. And it's just like, you don't, it's the Ewing. You take that shot. You practice that shot.
Yeah.
You practice that pass, Johnny.
You've been doing that in training.
you don't need to do that. And it's the that game could have easily been 1-1 and whatever. And Matt Freese did well, stopped a couple really promising chances, but it's the lack of that one decision makes the entire performance look bad. Now we're asking these questions about Pochettino,
and that's the question, right? So like, it's decision making. It's that getting over the hump of where we were under Greg Berhalter. I think going back and looking at previous managers, whether it's Bruce Arena or Jurgen Klinsmann, right? When you go out and get someone like Jurgen Klinsmann, it's, can you raise the level of the U.S. men's national team? Can you get them to train and everything more in a more European way, in a way that's a bit more becoming to a team that's going to compete for the highest levels internationally, right? Maybe he didn't do that fully, but he certainly moved the needle that way. Greg Berhalter comes in and says, all right, this is American excellence, right? We're going to get the best tactical coach in the American leagues, and we're going to give them an opportunity. And Greg Berhalter did some good things and left some question marks. So the next thing is, okay, can you get these young guys that Greg Berhalter helped develop into young men and playing at the sport at the highest levels in Europe and competing for big trophies? Can you get someone who can get them to do that as a unit now in the World Cup, and is also a big name and draws more eyes? Because I think that's super important as well. And I know that people, I see it in the comments, they get frustrated whenever we talk about like the marketing of the sport. If you don't understand that that's a big part of what U.S. soccer has to do, then you just don't understand the sport here. Unfortunately, there's other sports that take precedent over the U.S. So can you get a manager that can raise the level? And part of that is the decision making. And I know that the manager's not out on the pitch with you. They're not telling you, hey, pass it, give it back. Hey, you go there, you go there. But there's a sense that these are the types of things that need to be covered. There's a conversation that feels like it needs to be had with maybe an MLS level player right now. And some players are clearly beyond MLS, even though they're playing in MLS. And I think Jack McGlynn shows you flashes of that, right? Sure. Certainly has during the season, and certainly did in the beginning of this match. Maybe there's a conversation that the manager, where it feels like Greg Berhalter had these types of conversations where he would put his arm around a player and say, here's what I need you to do more of on the pitch to prove that you're that. And then you will get those moves. Part of me is wondering, is it his responsibility to be the guy to get these players to make those smarter decisions? Is it because it's a friendly after all, right? We don't need to win a friendly, but we want to see that the tactics are working, that the team is developing.
The chemistry is there. You're building something. You don't have to win necessarily.
A win isn't needed as much as we're talking about 3 losses in a row is not great.
Right.
But a win isn't like, we're not all out to win. It's about building the patchwork. Right. On the way to the Gold Cup. Or we're not seeing those things.
Yeah, I mean, I felt that frustration obviously with the Cardoso error, but then even like with Jack McGlynn, there were a couple moments in the second half of like, you didn't really need to shoot there.
Yeah. Also, Tillman had a great game. Pass it, bro.
Right. It's just like there's moments of like other players are open. Why do we need like the hero? You got it in the first minute. Yeah. Like now,
you got your highlight, dog. You goody.
Share the wealth. Get some assists. See what the assists feel like. So
Ajimang, speaking of assists, I don't think he did. There's a lot of promise in a player like this. I think we talked about Freeman as well. There's a lot of promise in a young player like a Patrick Ajimang, where I'm like, oh man, this kid's got these like moments of lightning, you know.
Sure.
But as a full project, there are some missing gaps, and I think you saw that in his inability to be effective in trying to play with his back to goal, or really any time seemingly the ball was passed to his feet. It seems like it kind of got lost.
Yeah, I'm just looking up how many touches did Ajimang have in the game. He had 30 touches and only 4 in the opposition box. And I think this stat shows also 0 successful dribbles and 1 pass into the final third, 5 dispossessions.
He was dispossessed all game.
It's something where they're regardless who is the striker for the US, especially the last 3 matches, there's a disconnect. Like, we're not getting enough touches, just like in the like whoever the striker is, doesn't matter what, they're not like setting an imprint in the game. And I would say this even in the matches that, where Balogun was playing and Pepe was playing, and like starters, and like where we were fairly successful the last months in the past. Even still, like the last Balogun game that you can remember, he's not like all over the game and really in there and really getting a lot of. It's just like moments where the midfield can build up well enough to get him the ball or get whoever the striker is, and even just take some shots that aren't blocked, that even just like get a shot and
pass directly to the keeper.
It's something the last like 2 years that it really, it's just a weakness in the team and in our game. And I don't think it's any particular attacker's fault. I think it's a combination of
the group of attackers just haven't had great service.
Yeah, the service, the maybe the tactics, maybe it's the particular opponents that we're playing, but yeah, it's kind of just disappointing to see. So that's why we should move on. Like, are there any positive we should take from the match?
Yeah, man, Pochettino has a lot to prove. And you know what? Prove you love us by hitting that like button. It also shows YouTube that you love us and that they should show us to so many other people. Do it right now. Hit that like button. I would say first and foremost, let's start with, I think, Jack McGlynn for some of those missed passes and whatnot. I think certainly maybe show that he has those kind of, there's something there. There's clearly something there. Sure. And I'm very comfortable to say that he will be a part of the World Cup squad. There's something about him I like. I think Arston showed that he can get forward. He could bomb forward. He could be he not only can be essential in the attacking in the final third, but he can also get back and track back, which was great. Did I mention Tyler Adams yet?
You didn't. Okay. I'll just Tillman. You're obviously going to mention.
Oh Tillman. Tillman. Yeah. Thank you. Tillman was the other one. Tillman has leveled up. He's reached a new level, and it's not just skill, it's his comfortability on the ball, and it's also the confidence with which he passes the ball to somebody else. There used to be times where I'm like, oh, maybe that wasn't the right pass. It seems like when he passes the ball, it's like, no, you weren't in the right spot. Right. And that's basically based on the way he's playing the game at such a high level. And I think the move to PSV has been so great for him because he became so influential in that team. He got to become such a standard part of that squad. You could see what that does to a player. And maybe it's timing as well based on his age, but he is at the point where I'm like, he will 100% be starting in the World Cup. I do not know in what position or where. I do not know who sits for him, but I got a feeling this guy starts in the World Cup because I love the way he's playing right now.
Sure. I mean, my only positive from this is like, especially obviously, NYCFC goalkeeper Matt Freese getting his first cap for the national team. I thought he did well. I thought, I don't think the goals were his fault.
Nope. He made some big saves.
Yeah. When he was needed, he was there. I still think based on like experience, and then we'll see what the Gold Cup looks like. I'd be very shocked if he is the starter, even though Matt Turner has not had a lot of minutes playing for Crystal Palace. He still helped them win that FA Cup. He played in a few of those matches. I would still think Matt Turner is a starter, but I did like to see another option that looked pretty confident in goal. I think the style of play is obviously different from NYCFC. So Matt Freese, even the issue with Cardoso, like the playing out of the back, not necessarily where I want to see how I want. I would argue Matt Turner or Matt Freese. I don't really want to see them.
Matt Turner's not great, but I think Matt Freese, he had something like 88% pass completion. So I mean, not terrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
yeah. So it's like not the most positive.
No one's asking him to like Ederson pick out a running midfielder. You know what I mean?
Right.
So for what the possession he needs to have, I think he's fine with it.
Sure. So next up, they play against Switzerland.
Yeah.
So this is the last game, but before the Gold Cup begins for them. So we had a discussion on who should start. What should be this lineup for not just maybe not just for Switzerland. Maybe even looking forward into the Gold Cup. You want to go first?
Yeah, to me, mine is a bit more speculative. This isn't like the final Gold Cup squad, but because of the playing time, I'm sure Turner's going to get a run out. But I'm kind of comfortable with Matt Freese and what he's been able to do to say, let's get a second start there to really see what he does. You know what Matt Turner's going to bring you. We don't know exactly what Matt Freese is going to do. Excuse me. So for me, I'm comfortable with him in goal so far. Let's see him get a second shout. Arvston, love what he was able to bring. I think he could show a little more, and I think when Mark McKenzie, I want to see him play alongside Mark McKenzie and Chris Richards and Alex Freeman. So I'm gonna go with that back line,
okay?
Because I think Arvston, I want to see what he does when there's, I don't know, Miles confused me a little bit.
Robinson,
yeah, Miles Robinson confused me a little bit in the back line. So I want to see Chris Richards and Mark McKenzie. I've always been a big Mark McKenzie guy. For defensive midfielders, Tyler Adams, when he came in, to me, changed the way the U.S. played. He's very clearly the best player on this entire squad. So for me, start him next to Luca De La Torre. I want to see these two as your defensive midfielders. And when you have both of those as your defensive midfielders, I think we're gonna see a lot less of an attack coming from Switzerland. Attacking midfielders, Jack McGlynn gets another run out. Malik Tillman, of course. Diego Luna showed me enough to say, all right, get a second shot. As far as center forward, part of me wants to give Patrick Agyemang another chance, but I'm like, you know what? Proven training that as of right now, for me, Haji Wright is probably the guy you run out. He has a little bit more experience and can play a little bit better with his back to goal. Not the best that we have to offer, but I think probably based on the squad they have, probably the right guy to get a shout up front.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll give you my thoughts on that. Let's bring up my 11, Matt Turner. I'll go Matt Turner just because I think I get the point you used about experience. I still think that's a bit more valuable for this tournament and in this game against Switzerland. Max Arvston, Chris Richards. I would go again experience. Walker Zimmerman, who's still been obviously two-time MLS Defender of the Year. I think he's just incredibly reliable and reads the game well. And I think compared to Miles Robinson, who I think is more athletically, I think he's better in that way. But I think Walker just reads the game just a little bit better. Alex Freeman, I really, it's just I don't love that he is. This is his first minutes playing for the national team, and he didn't look super comfortable against Turkey, but I don't think there's anybody else that really steps up into that role right now with the players available in the defensive midfield. Instead of Luca De La Torre, I will go Tyler Adams and Johnny Cardoso. I still think Luca De La Torre is a player who, to me, just doesn't impact the game going forward enough, but he's like a reliable midfielder. I'm not knocking him in any way, but I just think for what this team could look like in this tournament, I would go with those two guys. Okay. Malik Tillman, Diego Luna, and I would go Brendan Aronson instead of Jack McGlynn. I like the versatility of Brendan Aronson. He's not going to bang in shots like Jack McGlynn does, but I think he offers a little bit more in passing, in running. After he makes the pass, making that run, he's just a little bit more athletic than Jack McGlynn.
He's an engine.
Yeah. So, and I would like to see him really do well back up with top. The national team. Brian White,
really
up top, and this is just a hot hand kind of thing. Like, just go with who's playing well, who looks confident. Patrick Agyemang has not the last 6 weeks. Has just not really looked that great for Charlotte. Charlotte has. I believe they're winless in the card. Please confirm, but I believe they're winless in their last 7 or something like that. So it hasn't been.
I think he scored a counter or two. I mean, he has scored, but yeah, you're right.
Sure, I don't know. I don't remember the result this weekend. So but yeah, they have not been great this season. So this is where you go with who's playing well, and Brian White looks comfortable and looks confident playing up top. So that's my.
I don't hate that.
Yeah, that's my 11 going forward. Let us know what you think. Who should be playing in the? This is a weird. It's just like a strange cast of play. Like
You
it's
can't
not
kind of spin a wheel. You know what I mean? Wherever it falls.
You got an American
Yeah,
passport.
we're gonna play spin the bottle. Nobody make out though.
Okay.
You get in the 11.
You're gonna be the starting striker if the bottle lands on you, bro.
You know what? I honestly
Kiss
between
if you want. Luke.
yeah, I
That's
mean,
fine.
hey, look, we're not gonna stop you.
Okay.
I'm just saying that's not the goal of this. That's not the agenda.
You're
here.
not forced to.
Yeah.
The kissing is optional.
I don't want you to think that the bottle's being spun for you to kiss.
Okay.
You kiss whoever you want, but you better be the striker.
Nobody's gonna be mad if you do kiss. All right.
What I'm saying is between Haji Wright and Ben White and Brian White, pick. I'm fine with either or. I just think Haji Wright has a little bit more experience at a higher level. So
Yeah, I mean, even he's at Coventry.
yeah, he was a toenail away from
Last-
being in the FA Cup final, though.
Sure. I mean, last season they lost in the playoff. They lost in the playoff again this time around. And it's a. I thought last season he was much better.
Yeah.
For his club, and this time around I mean I'd be fine. Again,
I'm cool with either
I'm
or.
kind of either.
He did score in the World Cup off the back of his head. He didn't know it, but he
All
still
right.
scored.
What have you done for me lately, IG?
So I guess the last question is, even as a friendly, do you think the USA needs to win this?
Need is not the right.
Is it a must-win game, which is tough for a friendly?
Look, I'll simply say this: Pochettino needs to win this game. Pochettino, for his narrative and for the pressure and for the heat to just die down a little bit.
Do you think that's a result, like scoreline win, or is it the things we talked about before? Because for me, I don't care if we lose 3-2, but the U.S. played well. We connected well. The chemistry was there. The lineup played well together. The system seems to be intact. Maybe it was like a wonder goal that wins the game for Switzerland. Fine. But everything else feels right. I walk away from that going, that's as good as a win for me.
It's odd that you say that, but then you also say they need to win the Gold Cup. Like winning it is the bare minimum. So
that's different than a friendly.
I understand that.
This is a knockout competition. This is, I don't care how you win. You can win as ugly as hell. I don't care if you park the bus.
I think they need to win. They need to, because the competition that they're going to be playing, they're playing against European competition means a little bit more than beating Suriname and like
but it's a friendly.
With all due respect, because even though it's a friendly, it's still higher quality competition than what you're playing in Gold Cup for the most part.
What I'm simply saying is that the result of a friendly isn't always the best result of a friendly isn't always the score line.
I agree.
Those other intangibles.
If Pochettino had not already lost 3 in a row, I would be
all right.
whatever.
I could see your point.
He needs to
there.
win. He needs to win this game. Just 1-0,
right?
Own goal, whatever.
Right.
Just be like, you can tell the federation, hey, we're moving forward. Look at this.
Right.
We won 1-0, clean sheet, whatever. So that they need to get.
What I'm saying is like this is when you tell wifey like, yo, I know the meal I cooked was trash, but I cooked.
I was.
You know what I mean? The thought is what counted. And also, our DoorDash will be here in 20 minutes.
Okay, obviously backups are always important.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna talk some more USMNT after this because we got to get to Landon Donovan's comments that were a little spicy. All right, we'll get back to that right after this. Let's chat about Landon Donovan's comments yesterday. If you watched Portugal against Spain, Portugal won their second Nations League title. There was a moment Cristiano Ronaldo is on screen and he's in tears, celebrating his trophy or whatever.
Right. So no reason to mention the U.S. at all because this is Portugal versus Spain.
And Landon Donovan, as Ronaldo's on screen, he goes, "This is what it means to represent your country. I can't help but think about our guys on vacation, not wanting to play in Gold Cup. It's pissing me off." And even as I'm watching this, I'm like, damn, saying pissing me off on national television is also all right. Like he didn't have to use those words, but he really he
went for it.
He did go for it.
Clearly, he was upset.
Yes. So we should ask: are Landon Donovan's comments out of line? Because some people, some players even,
Pulisic's dad.
Pulisic's dad, Weston McKennie,
Yeah.
not happy with those statements.
All right. So the bigger question becomes, is it a hindrance? And there's been comments from former players the last few days about the A crop of U.S. men's national team players not being a part of both these friendlies and the Gold Cup coming up. Are his comments out of line? Are Landon Donovan's comments out of line? No. The way he's handling it makes him look like a back in my day curmudgeon. Also, the hairline doesn't help. You know what I mean? You're looking like Mr. Burns, bro. Take care of it. But it's feeling a little bit like back in my day, we walked uphill both ways, to play for the national team when you're not really sure of what's happening. But I kind of agree with him in the sense that, Gold Cup is the last competitive competition knockout tournament, the last time we really have to test ourselves and put ourselves under pressure before the World Cup, which we automatically qualify for. So to not have your best players there, unless you're injured and cannot be there, and I mean like injured where you can't play, not I have a slight knock, I'd like to take some time off, to some degree, you have to be there. It's building that chemistry with your manager, with the team, head coach, whatever. It's being a good example to the younger players that are going to get that opportunity in Gold Cup, because it's not just going to be your A squad. And it's showing the country that, like, look how serious we're taking this with the World Cup coming up. Not to suggest that they're not taking it serious, but it's showing that in your actions. I kind of tend to agree with him on this.
So there's a lot where a lot of my feelings are they're a little bit all over the place. I understand I understand both sides here. I think this Gold Cup is an odd one. Firstly, because it's happening at the same time as the Club World Cup. So there are players that are playing in the Club World Cup.
Not many,
but there are some. So the importance of the tournament is affected in some way. It's influenced by this other thing that it's distracting at the very least. So Christian Pulisic not playing the Club World Cup, he has no real reason outside of something either personal or injury or whatever to not play.
And mind you, his next season he's only going to play once a week. There's no European competition for AC Milan.
Right. Well, if he stays there, we don't know where he ends up.
As of right now, he's a Milan player, so I'm going to go under the impression.
Yeah. So there must be some level of fatigue that he is worried about, that maybe the federation is worried about as well, that they want to prioritize and make sure that he's playing and available at the World Cup.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though. From the federation, they said that he decided not to be a part of it, not that they told him not to be.
No, correct. Yeah. So if they're respecting that, they're not like throwing him under the bus. At least the federation is not.
Right.
And it's different than when Landon Donovan decided to take a sabbatical. And
what are you, Pulisic's dad? Jesus Christ.
But Jurgen Klinsmann was like, no, I'm not happy with it. Like he threw him under the bus. He was like, we don't, didn't get called in for those in that next window or the window after or whatever, when we kind of probably could have used Landon Donovan, but Jurgen Klinsmann was like not forgiving that he took that time off. Mm-hmm. So I get it. Like do I fully agree with Landon? Maybe to some degree. And in the moment when I was watching Cristiano Ronaldo celebrate that, and they've also made the point of like, look, these guys are at the end of their seasons. You know that they're exhausted. The game, Portugal, Spain went into extra time and went to penalties and everything. And they are mentally and physically drained, and they are still there.
And the guy we're talking about is 40 something.
He's 40, right? And that, even just hearing that point, I'm like, yeah, I kind of get like, wow, look at the dedication.
And look how much it means. And to some degree, yeah.
I get it. But even if the U.S. wins Gold Cup, we're not going to be saying, look how much it means. Like, it's just not the same thing. I mean,
that's not true. If the camera cuts to Weston McKennie crying, hugging the trophy, you're gonna say
yes, maybe, but he's playing the Club World Cup, so that it's like
good point.
Again,
I just didn't want to say Pulisic.
No, I understand. It's just again the
if the camera cuts to
the Gold Cup might
he's crying.
My issue with the Gold Cup is that it should be every 4 years and not every 2.
Who cares?
I know it's just, but it makes me care a little, just a tad less because it's every 2 years and it's not.
This is our Euros.
It is, but the Euros are every 4 years, and they hold a little bit more weight. But this region, we kind of probably need a Gold Cup every 2 years because we're competing with all these other sports. There has to be a little bit of like, hey, U.S. soccer's still here, everybody. Let's make sure. So
sorry that the whole nation doesn't shut down when the U.S. plays. They barely even shut up to the stadium.
Shout out to Chuck Blazer for inventing Gold Cup.
We never did anything wrong, bro.
Chuck Blazer,
everything was allegedly, bro.
Okay, show me the evidence. Oh, you have evidence.
Oh, you have evidence. Wow, it's overwhelming, actually. How long do I have to take? How long does this file download for?
So yeah, that's kind of my
wire.
So I'm affected emotionally by it, where I'm like, I hear Landon's comments, and I'm like, oh yeah, maybe he's right about this.
Were they out of line?
Were they out of line? I don't think they're out of line, but this is the
on a scale of 0 to 10, on 1 to 10, 10 is way out of line to 1 is thank you for speaking truth to power, Landon Donovan. Where are you on that?
This is like maybe a 3. This is just not really that.
That means you're closer, right?
No. 10 is out of line, and 1 is like closer to like.
Yo, thank you for saying that.
Oh, I guess I don't even. This is a strange.
wait. Then you reset it. 1 is you should have never said it. 10 is thank you for saying it.
Then 3. Yeah, he 1 is like I'm okay with him voicing this.
I'm like 7.
All right, that's fine. It's just something where when I think of like what you put out into the public, into the media, like this is I'm like more generous. I'm like, I understand, like you're on Fox Sports. You gotta say the crazy thing. You gotta get some clicks and blah blah blah.
Not during Portugal, Spain, dog. This isn't the time for you
crowbar. You gotta. They always crowbar U.S. stuff in there. They have to. But as like this is why Weston McKennie's comments, because he reacted to that, and this is where I kind of agree with Weston. As a peer. As like a media person, I understand Landon saying that. As a peer who played for the national team, is an important figure. There's a damn MVP trophy named after you in Major League Soccer. It's a little, for lack of a better word, thing to do.
Is it a little curmudgeon-y?
Yeah, I guess it's curmudgeon-y as a former player to the pressure that is put on those players.
It's not just the former players. Quite possibly
the
one,
greatest,
if not two. The second, if not the first, the second best American ever
I get it's like
to play the game.
If he's not on TV saying this, I think it might mean a little more. It might mean something a little bit different. But him saying this, I can understand. Weston McKennie he called it. I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said it's kind of sad that a player, a former player, especially a player like him, would say something like that, and then Weston McKennie came back with kind of a petty remark about like, people are criticizing us about like losing Nations League and all this stuff, but they lost that previous group like lost and didn't even make it to the World Cup. So he's kind of saying like, well, why are you, but it's kind of a pointless comment because they were heavily criticized for that. So it's not, they were criticized by active players, former players, so
players from other countries.
So you're going to be held accountable.
Yeah.
But I understand, it'll ruffle feathers with that current squad and especially as a player like Christian Pulisic, which he's kind of talking about. He didn't say his name. And then we should put up.
He didn't have
Mark
to talk it because his dad is
dad.
out here.
We got more dad drama.
Wow, I don't know what this is like. Dad supporting him, huh?
Yeah. All right, so I got the screen cap. So Mark Pulisic, what he did, he asked ChatGPT or some sort of AI thing. He goes, "Tell me about Landon Donovan's sabbatical and why he took it." So, and then it goes on. The response was, Landon Donovan took his sabbatical because he was feeling both physically and mentally exhausted after years of competition and the pressure that comes with being a top athlete. Blah, blah, blah. And like it says, this break allowed him to rest, travel, and ultimately return to the game with a refreshed mindset. He posted, he tagged Landon Donovan, put the little monocle emoji. The caption is which we can't see it because that wasn't a screen cap, but it just says, this guy, I can see a little bit of it. It says, this guy is talking about commitment, look in the mirror and grow a pair and call out names. And then it says something else. I don't remember we read it earlier, but obviously he made his page private. So just real quick, the comments are already like, some people kind of agree. Some people agree. Most people are like, this is soft as hell. Like, Pulisic is an adult. Like,
let him handle
this. Yeah. And this is something where this is not what Landon said. Like, I gave it like a 3. Like, fine, he said it.
Yeah.
This isn't even really worthy of a response, especially not from your dad. Like, there's no way Christian Pulisic is not like, yo, dad, I don't need you right now.
Bro, first of all, you're a full adult playing in Europe. Don't nobody want to hear from your pops, bro. I don't know what Mr. Brian Donovan looks like. I don't know what James Dempsey looks like. I don't know if that's their name. I don't know what none of these people look like or what their thoughts were when they played the national team. Bro, yeah, doing this is taking the focus away from your son. Really, is what's happening. It's putting the focus on yourself. Mark Pulisic should not be commenting on the internet about stuff Landon Donovan is saying.
Yeah, I mean,
if he's talking about your son, you think he's talking about your son? Let your son do the talking.
Sure, it's kind of pointless and it's fodder for the Cooligans.
Yeah, hey, it's great for us, dude.
So we're not mad about it.
I'm happy to have it.
But it's just such a non-fight. It's such a non-argument that even as Landon is saying it, even Weston McKennie just being like at least addressing it because journalists are gonna ask. I get that. But it's
Weston McKennie standing on business. But can I just say, this kind of goes to prove that Christian Pulisic maybe ain't the captain. Like, and it's not to say he's not a good captain. It's just that if he doesn't want to be that vocal leader, maybe he shouldn't be the captain. You know what I mean? Maybe it should be somebody else who can sort of not stand up for themselves, but willing to put themselves out there in the media and say what they want to say to defend themselves.
He's not a vocal leader.
No, and that's fine.
To begin with,
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Dude, in fact, if it makes you a better player to not feel the need to be the vocal leader, then please don't feel the need to be the vocal leader.
Yeah. I mean,
I'd rather you be a better player, more comfortable.
And your dad doesn't need to be the vocal leader either.
Your pop probably don't need to get involved.
It's just the argument now is,
and I love a dad that wants to defend their son. Again, grew up with that. You know what I mean?
But so you love that as the fantasy world that you would have loved to grow up.
Maybe somewhere my dad's tweeting at my ops, you know? Somewhere in there. But I get it. I respect it. I feel I get the need to want to do it. It just maybe the result is not exactly what you planned. Yeah,
it's bad. There's no positive to take from it. There's no the federation's not happy.
That's not true, yo. We got a boomer using ChatGPT. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
All right.
My mom's still confused with FaceTime.
Mark Pulisic, prompt engineer.
Yo, for real, my guy.
Okay, it's going to be a new job. Everybody start learning.
Yo, when AI takes over, it's about controlling AI.
There's going to be just, all we're going to have is AI and no clean water.
Yeah. Right? Hey, nothing wrong with that. AI, where do I find clean water? It all works. Okay. Let's have Mark. We'll guide us to the clean water.
All right, let's take another quick break.
Wouldn't it be funny if it's where Landon Donovan took the sabbatical? That'd be wild. If that's where the clean water is.
Okay.
It all came full circle.
Look at that. That's a nice little callback. All right. We're going to talk. We're going to wrap up our Champions League perspective for some of the other clubs that are back in the Champions League for the first time or for the first time in a while. All right. We'll be right back after this.
All right, welcome back to the show. We talked a little bit about the perspectives for some of the stalwarts of the Champions League, some of the bigger clubs in it. But then there's a couple of clubs that haven't been here in a while or are just coming in here for the first time that have qualified for the Champions League next season. Let's talk about our perspectives for them. First up, Tottenham. I'm going to say not supposed to be here, bro. You don't even go to this school. How'd you get into the dance? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Hey, I'm all for it. If you win a trophy, you deserve, and it qualifies you for the tournament, you deserve it. But there's so many unanswered questions with this team. no one, especially with Ange Postecoglou now officially sacked,
Yeah.
no one knows how this team is going to show up. The rumor is the players are upset. Thomas Frank is supposedly lined up, and everyone seems to be talking about it pretty openly. So who knows what Tottenham is going to have there? It could be dramatically better or dramatically worse.
Yeah, this is, for me, unserious. And I wouldn't have said unserious. That wouldn't be my perspective looking forward. If they kept Ange Postecoglou, this is the reaction. Even Carter, when the news dropped, big Tottenham fan, obviously, but when he had mentioned when he texted, you said, what did you say? You said a joke of a club or something like that.
Yeah, and he said, "What am I going to do with my lower back Ange tattoo?" Why did he get one? You know, it's his whole face.
No. He also got no regrets. From
no regrets. All right, let's go to Newcastle. What do you got?
For Newcastle, lucky to be there, and yes, the final game of the season,
VAR.
they lost to Everton, which just risky to be in that situation, and luckily. What was it? Emi Martinez.
Yeah, Aston Villa
got that red.
Yeah.
Emi Martinez, apparently big Newcastle fan. I don't know what's going on there. But they should have gotten into the tournament a little bit more convincingly. I think they'll do well. They did well. They did decent the first time they were there in a lot. Not this past season.
The previous season,
right? Yeah. No, did they make it last season? Oh no, they didn't.
No, they were the last group stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
So lucky. Yeah, I think they're just lucky to be there.
I'm going with house money, simply because they had, for the all intents and purposes, it didn't look like they were going to end up in Champions League, but ending up in Champions League kind of allowed them to potentially keep Isak. Who knows how this plays out? Maybe somebody does come out and spend the money for Isak, but for the most part, it seems like securing a Champions League spot has helped them not only keep their best players, but maybe even go out and sign some other bigger players. Eddie Howe potentially keeps his job. Things seem to be kind of settling a little bit for them. So for them, this is house money. If they can do well in this league phase, if they can get to themselves in the 23rd or above spot, I think already this is looking better than most people thought the next season would have looked. So for me, house money. After that, Napoli.
My questions here are: can they handle the pressure? Can they handle playing European competition, continuing that level they were playing at in Serie A, and obviously winning the Scudetto? This is what the roster is going to look like. The rumors about Kevin De Bruyne, all this other stuff. Is it going to be, even if with Kevin De Bruyne, is that going to make kind of a difference in their Champions League campaign? So it's like I won't know until we probably see the first 2-3 games of Champions League. But that's my first question. Can they handle that level of pressure and responsibility and load management for all those games?
Damn, load management. Easy. I think for me, I'm going to say next level, simply because the Kevin De Bruyne signing seems imminent.
Yeah.
If Antonio Conte couldn't get Scott McTominay to be a superstar in Serie A, which by the way, I believe that at one point he was the best player on Manchester United, the way they were playing. So it's not to suggest that he isn't, and somehow he got greater.
You're the only person that believed that.
Yeah, I did. He was the best. He was certainly the most informed.
Yeah.
Look at the star he's turned into. What do you think Antonio Conte is going to do with a Kevin De Bruyne, quite possibly the best midfielder to ever play in Premier League? You can argue amongst yourselves. Certainly, arguably one of. So for me, this is a wonder signing. To me, next level. Antonio Conte in a Champions League, in a league phase format, is going to be something to behold. This team can be so dangerous. I'm excited to see what they can do being at this level. And now, after winning the Scudetto, who else they sign?
Sure. All right. Next up, Athletic Club Bilbao.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm saying knockout ready. Bro,
I think they're going to get knocked out?
No, that they are knockout ready. Can they keep Nico Williams? If they do, the way they play, the style they play, the seemingly what has become the new Spain way to play, the post tiki-taka era, feels a little bit more like Athletic Club Bilbao, the way they play. For me, they seem knockout ready. They seem like the team that can play in a knockout tournament. They need to get there first. So I'm a little worried about the league phase. But if the home games are going to be fun, The San Mames is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they can get themselves into the knockout portion of the tournament, they can be really, really dangerous.
I said it's a good Europa team, a bad Champions League team. I don't think they're getting out of the league phase. Especially Nico Williams is like the focal point, and if they lose him, I don't know who they're going to bring in to help them.
You got another one of them?
You got another Williams?
Yeah.
I don't expect too much from them in their Champions League campaign, but we shall see. But I think if they were in Europa again, I would be like, they would probably be the favorites.
Yeah, I can see that. I can totally see that. Eintracht Frankfurt, I'm going to go with Cha-Ching, buddy. You out here, you're going to make a good amount of money. Eintracht Frankfurt. I don't think you're going to get
business move.
But you got 8 matches. You feel me?
Okay.
Ekatike's gone, right? Omar Mamouche was already left the previous season. It feels like they're going to be picked apart. Hugo Larsson's probably next. Did he leave, actually?
No, he didn't leave.
No,
he's
yeah.
still there.
Yeah. He seems, the rumors are going that he's next, so I feel like this team's going to be picked apart a little bit. So this is going to be one of those, like, hey, feel good if you could win 3 of those matches, maybe get yourself into a knockoff play, like a playoff spot. But for the most part, I feel like, good for you. You got 8 matches of revenue. Cha-ching.
So we had the who was it? He was the
CEO.
The CEO of Eintracht Frankfurt.
The Frankies.
The Frankies. Axel Hellman. He was on the show a couple of months ago. So I'm sure he'd be happy with you saying that. I don't know. He's also a big fan
CEO,
of the team.
So yeah, he's.
For me, I'm more focused on one particular player, Hugo Larsson, who has a friend of the show.
Also been on the show
here a couple of months ago. Joked about you being fat. He made a lot of fat jokes.
He really went in on the fat jokes.
But we love Hugo Larsson here.
Yeah.
And
so I cried a little bit after, but that's fine.
I think it's a Hugo Larsson spotlight. It's his first time playing in Champions League. He played in Champions League qualifiers for Malmo, his previous club. But he has stepped up in a different way. He's obviously, like more a holding midfielder, has a couple goal contributions on his resume, but he is a calming presence, a calming force in that midfield for Eintracht Frankfurt. So that's
someone so young.
Yeah, 20 years old, and already a lot of responsibility. He's already talking about possibly leaving, but he's a player that Real Madrid are looking at him as a potential signing. So. Not exactly a perspective on the whole club, but I think Hugo Larsson, if he steps up, they can have a good Champions League campaign. But yeah, there are a lot of Eintracht Frankfurt don't always have the highest of expectations given,
right?
Kind of for almost any Bundesliga club, and
they're a team that gets picked apart.
Yeah. So
in the transfer,
but we're obviously Frankfurt fans here. We hope they do well. Next up, Marseille.
I'm gonna go with De Zerbi Retribution. You know, De Zerbi didn't have the greatest international results when he was over at Brighton. Got them there, obviously. But for me, this is going to be a big one. Marseille are a club that, you know, if you go back in time, not that far, they were one of the biggest clubs in the world, and they seemingly have sort of fallen out of grace a little bit. Can they get back to that? I'm not a huge fan of every player that's on their squad, so I'm not necessarily excited to see them succeed with every player that's on their squad. But I do want De Zerbi to kind of get some of his just due praise for the way he left the Premier League, and seemingly people think he took a step down. I think for him to get Marseille back to where they belong, that the Marseille that Timothy Chalamet, talks about.
Sure.
For me, that will be good for him, because I think he's a great manager and potentially should maybe even be the manager of Italy.
Let's get Timothy on the line. Timothy, what do you think? Oh, imagine we have that.
Imagine. Chalamet, my guy.
Those Knicks, tough, huh?
We are only 2 people removed from him. Alex Mule could get him.
Oh, that's right.
So.
Well, yeah, now we got to get to know Alex
Mule. We can't get Soccer Timmy on the phone, bro.
So, for me, my thought here, controversy FC.
Yeah,
because obviously, obviously with the signing of Mason Greenwood.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about.
Even his success, it's been a strange thing, and being on the Champions League stage is only going to put more of a spotlight on that. And obviously, Mason Greenwood, who was basically persona non grata for most human beings and most people who follow the sport. There's a active campaign seemingly in the comments to ignore what he was accused of, and what we all heard and what we all saw.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to get past.
Right.
And
And they love to bring up that him and that lady are still together and they've had a kid. Sure.
It doesn't.
You could forgive and you could forget, but it doesn't mean everybody has to.
Exactly. And it's we were all still disgusted. And you could say like people make mistakes, and I'm like, all right, well, not kind of this. It's hard for all of us to get past it. So
you're not gonna get 100% of people in that group.
So there's gonna be, I don't know, who knows what the league phase is gonna look like. Who do they face? Not Manchester United, obviously.
Of course not.
But just imagine the boos. Every time he touches the ball, like what cities and what countries he's gonna play in. These are all gonna be a factor in how Marseille does and how they play, and all of it. The things that don't feel great about that whole story is like, it was horrific and disgusting.
So bad.
All this, but then it's like, why is Fabrizio posting about like he scored a goal and blah, blah. I'm like, why are you? What is this for? Who is this for?
Bro, at least email us for some of that money. We're not going to take it. I just want to know what kind of funds we're talking about.
We got an idea.
Yeah.
So that part. So that's the part of them being in Champions League that it's gonna not be fun to witness. So all right, last team, Ajax.
So, hey, where you been, bro?
Okay.
Where you been, dog? You was just here last week, man. I haven't seen you in a minute. Obviously, they had a horrific season 2 seasons ago. And it's seemingly getting the ship back on track, if you will.
Nearly relegated.
Nearly relegated. It was really uncomfortable to see. Ajax, when I think of Ajax, I think of some of the greats that have been there, the Johan Cruyffs and whatnot. So for me, I want to see an Ajax take place. I also love when a league that's not considered one of the biggest leagues has teams that can compete at a higher level. And I think PSV did that for quite a bit during the last Champions League. So can Ajax get back to that previous glory? Can they get back to that Ajax way, the Ajax that we know and love? Hopefully.
Yeah. Speaking of some greats, Andre Onana, former Ajax goalkeeper.
That's what I was talking about. Anthony.
You forgot. You missed out. Johan Cruyff, and you did not. In the same breath, you should obviously.
Royal Betis fans are like, I don't get what the joke is about Anthony. He's one of the greats.
Kind of similar. The Champions League isn't the same without Ajax. Losing in the round of 16. But they always.
It might not be great,
but they provide great moments, and it's hard for them to compete with the money in some of these other leagues. But Ajax there's always like legendary moments, especially those. Ajax is a team that has great Champions League moments, and then Premier League clubs like Hakim Ziyech. Come to a real club.
I want 4 of your players.
And they just kind of pick them apart.
It sounds weird for people in the Netherlands to hear this because they're like, this is one of the biggest clubs in the world. What are you talking about?
Historically, of course,
they beat up on our team, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, this is a team where it's like, it doesn't feel scrappy because they have their own style and their own way. But it kind of feels like when they win, you're like, nah, I could kind of root for them.
So it's nice to have them back in Champions League. All right. Let's wrap it up there, everybody. Thank you again for tuning in.
Great advice. Wrap it up, folks.
Wrap it up. Or don't wrap it up if you want to drop your kid off at the daycare.
I was gonna say 2 years. You and your lady gonna be crying, staring through a window as your kid plays with blocks.
So you have options if you want to have just an emotional, sensitive moment dropping off your kid at daycare. Don't wrap it up. So there's there's like it's like choose your own adventure a little.
Yeah. We all choose our own adventures every day.
Okay. And it is quite the adventure. Thank you again for tuning in, everybody. We appreciate it. Shout out to everybody. I just want to say shout out to everybody in Los Angeles protesting. You see me wearing the Los Angeles Abolish ICE shirt.
I'd also be wearing it if it still fit me.
I forgot who sent this to us a couple years ago. I don't remember who it was.
Definitely, obviously, one of the LAFC fans.
But it's
shouts to you, whoever it was.
Horrible, and I'll see all this stuff is going on, and we don't need ice. I mean, let's just keep it real, bro. It's horrific.
I'm cool with a warm drink.
Okay, this is like Alexis talking about before they invented freezers. Warm drinks are fine.
Room.
You know what? You know how they used to keep stuff cool before freezers and before refrigerators. They used to put have like basements, and they used to ship ice from the north or whatever.
Yeah.
They used to ship ice, keep it in their basements, and use sawdust. If you cover ice in sawdust, it keeps the ice cool for a very, very long time, and that's how they used to cool their homes.
Yeah. It's interesting.
It's mildly interesting. All right. It's an interesting fact.
I'm really all right. So you know what? Wrap it up, or you'll have a kid who does that at the end of a podcast.
So we're saying abolish immigration and customs enforcement. I mean, you still need. I mean, you can, even if you can find ways to keep your home cool or get cold drinks.
You
There's
know
still
what?
ways.
Let's take the budget we spent on ice and use it for sawdust.
Sadly, the ice caps are melting. We're not going to be much ice available.
They actually grew a little bit.
They grew. Ice grows.
Yeah. Well, more ice has been added to Antarctica.
Lovely.
Like something like 13%. It's working, folks.
Okay.
Stop using whatever your aerosol.
All right.
Where are we going with the end of this episode? Look, guys, subscribe, do all the things, hit the like button, look to your left and tell them you love them. Do all the things you're supposed to do.
You in church? shake hands. Make peace.
I feel bad for the person in your cubicle to your left going, I didn't know you thought about me that way, Stacy.
We appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back on Thursday with a brand new episode. So, hit subscribe, hit the like button if you haven't yet. And we'll see you on Thursday. Take care, everybody. Peace.
Love you guys.
So, we have some Champions League perspectives, but we also have some MLS midseason award perspectives that you can check out right now as well. Just click on my face. Click on that video.
Hey, if you want to subscribe, click on my face. It's right here.